All right, good afternoon. It is Friday, August 30th, last trading day of the month. Coming into a holiday weekend, a 3-day weekend. It's a pretty uneventful session today, kind of within the expectations given price's location and then the fact that we do have that 3-day weekend coming up here. So we came into the sesh. Let's start off with S&P. ES. Came into the sesh just wanting to see early on in the session how price was going to be trading versus that pre-market high area and that near term, or more like intermediate term now, volume point of control. I want to see if buyers could sustain the action up and through that weekly volume point of control up above this area. So for that, you can just say, all right, well, if price breaks and maintains that pre-market high, can most likely show a test of the 5650. That's that prior day volume point of control and upside level of interest, and then maybe up into the prior day high, that 5665 level of interest, which is that near-term range high as well. Now, taking a look at the intraday structure, it's important to keep in mind that today is just an inside day. Price did not trade outside of yesterday's range in a meaningful way. You have that little blip there below prior day low, but I still consider this action an inside day. This is more of like a spring type of setup. Break prior day low right at the level of interest, quickly reclaim, marks the low for the session. That's a pretty good entry for a long setup there within the context of an intermediate term range. And so price today does not give us any update to the current structure. If we're talking about intermediate term structure, no update after today's action. If anything, it kind of solidifies the fact that 5,600 is a key level of interest. That was the main level that we've been watching for the past couple of weeks now. Speaking of which, if you jump over to the weekly time frame chart, take a look at this. Right, just another bar within that prior bar. So another little bit of an inside bar here on the weekly, just kind of confirming what we've already been talking about, confirming that near-term range, right? This is a lot of volatility compression following a few very volatile weeks. This week, incredibly volatile, right? Definitely this early August, very volatile. And then this week right here, a couple of weeks ago, where my cursor is, that was the largest week so far this year. So a very explosive follow through week there. It's not really all that surprising to see that consolidation here. It's not really all that surprising to see some volatility compression when we take a look at kind of the weekly time frame bars. Get a big bounce, right? Big expansion move. Most likely it's time to cool down a bit. It's time to see volatility compress. This is the natural state of volatility. It's always expanding and contracting. Anytime you have a big expansion move, you want to be looking for that next period of contraction. Generally speaking, that's going to be range trading, right? And then once you have price kind of coiling and getting tighter within that range like we have right now, we want to be staying alert and really looking for that breakout trade, that next leg higher, and hopefully it does not occur, during an overnight session. So that's kind of and we see this theme play out pretty much on every single time frame. So it's just a matter of determining which time frame is in control, and then you can kind of align that multiple time frame analysis to really secure some very strong intraday trades. Right. But as far as what we're looking at for next week's shortened week, just near-term range. Price continues within that near-term range. So primarily we'll be focused on either this 55.85 area, 55.65 area, near-term range low, or up into the 56.65 near-term range high. There is no direction here other than sideways. Right? Just sideways trading. And so as always, the best opportunities are going to be near these edge points. You're going to have the best setups and the largest potential gain with the tightest amount of risk, right? The largest asymmetrical upside near the edges of the range. That's why we like to focus on the edges of the range. Like take yesterday, for example, retesting that near-term range high, right? You look for a nice tight entry in that area and you can get a pretty explosive move lower. Same thing with that overnight session. Wednesday night heading into Thursday morning, near-term range low. Okay, well, if you are awake and willing to hold a trade during that overnight session or watch it all night, right? You can capture some pretty explosive moves, but you have to be available and watching when price actually tests those edge points. If it happens in the middle of the night or during the evening sesh, right? A lot of the times you end up missing it. So once we have price kind of in the middle of the range, you want to be very, very picky with what you're looking for. And I'm getting ready to talk more about this in the upcoming trading mentorship group. But it's kind of the gist of near-term range trading and making sure that you have good trade location. Best opportunities are near the edge. So next week, especially Tuesday, we'll be looking to see essentially how price trades versus today's high and whether buyers can show a continuation move up into this near-term range high and potentially a breakout, or if we're just going to continue to consolidate ahead of next Friday's NFP. So that's kind of the idea there with S&P. On ES, let's jump over to SPY really quickly. Sometimes SPY can give us a bit more information, and in this case, definitely not. You can just see the barcode there on the daily. So to me, what this looks like is big rally off of the lows, and now consolidation just shy of that prior all-time high, frankly, for that next leg higher. Right now, there is the possibility that this is distribution. We do have some seasonal weakness into the late part of September and early October, so that is something to keep an eye on. But I wouldn't be surprised to see SPY and ES, the S&P 500 as a whole, marking a fresh all-time high sometime in the near future. Right, consolidation like this near a big breakout point, it's not really bearish activity. So some things to keep in mind just looking forward on the bigger picture. Let's jump over to NASDAQ. There's a totally different picture. Nowhere near the highs, right? And the intermediate term structure is completely different. Not really a range. So let's dive into kind of the 60-minute chart. Get a little bit of a cleaner idea of what's happening here. So earlier in the week, right, we kind of had this set up right through here. And one of the things I had mentioned, it was either on Monday or Tuesday, but it was the fact that on the intermediate term, we did have that sideways range. But the issue is on the near term, right? So intermediate term, we're talking about a couple of weeks, near term, maybe a few days. The near term showed a downtrend, right? Series of lower highs, getting to be a little bit concerning. You have some lower lows as well. And so actually, I think this commentary was from Wednesday, because what I was talking about is if price can't break this high right through here, Tuesday's high, most likely it'll retest this area of support. And if there's no bid in that area, you can come back and kind of retest this structure right through here, because there's a big volume void in this area. And that's exactly what happened. From there, you have the big bounce back into 700, where we have willing sellers, right? There's a lot of supply in this 700 area right through here. So that remains a key area of resistance. As of right now, NQ is kind of settled into this area right through here, right? We've got basically 335 as a downside level of interest. Kind of near today's low. Today's low is marked at 370, right? Just ahead of that prior day low. Now big bounce. Big bounce into the close, pretty strong close setting up right now with price coming back into this week's volume point of control. So initially rejected that area, right? Gets a little bit too far away. Remember, volume point of control is going to be considered value. So if price moves too far from value, you're going to see it gravitate back into that area. So here we are with a push into the close. And so again, what I want to see on Tuesday is going to be how price trades versus today's high, but more importantly, this 700 area. Buyers are really looking for a break of this 700, And if they are successful in doing so, we can see a test up into 770, up into 850, and potentially 925, potentially 20K. Right? But as of right now, near-term structure does show a downtrend. No doubt about it. There's a series of lower highs. Right? High marked here. You have a sequence of highs through here at 700, but no change of character. And then today, just an inside day, right? No real structural impact with today's action. Now, taking a look at QQQ, let's just check out the QQQ daily chart. Let me clear these drawings off. QQQ, and I want to see the daily. And so this actually looks a little bit better. Right? Take a look at that daily bar. It's an inside day, right? And so if buyers can show a break of today's high during Tuesday's session, may be able to set up a nice little rally. So that is something to be watching for, a break of today's high. And just kind of remember this kind of little setup right through here. You have a cluster of just consolidation, right? So we're looking for that potential breakout move, ideally in the early part of next week. So a couple of things to keep an eye on. Of note here, look how QQQ is defending this gap higher. Right? So this is going to be this is definitely an important area. And you can get these same reference points on NQ, definitely. Just take a look at Thursday's low, August 15th. The low from August 15th, but buyers are clearly interested in defending this gap, at least so far. So that's kind of likely an overlooked but a significant piece of information there for the NASDAQ. So keep that in mind. As of right now, just kind of a much tighter range there. It becomes more obvious when you look at it on QQQ, kind of the past 4 days, just purely sideways, right? We're just trading against the same levels we've been trading against for the past couple of weeks. What we want to see is if price can break up and through, this would be the equivalent of that 700 area on NQ. So hope everyone had a great day, great close to the week. If you have questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank over the long weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday morning.